What if the very product you switch to in order to avoid sugar is secretly changing the bacteria living inside your gut and even influencing how your brain works? Scientists have uncovered surprising evidence that some artificial sweeteners may do much more than simply reduce calories. They could affect your digestion, cravings, mood, and even the way your body manages blood sugar. Before you reach for another sugar-free drink or snack, stay with me because what you're about to learn may completely change the way you think about artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners have become a common part of modern diets, especially as more people look for ways to reduce their sugar intake without giving up the sweet taste they enjoy. These ingredients are designed to provide intense sweetness while contributing few or no calories, making them a popular choice in products labeled as diet, light, low sugar, or sugar-free. Over the past several decades, their use has expanded far beyond soft drinks and tabletop sweeteners. Today, they can be found in protein bars, flavored yogurt, breakfast cereals, chewing gum, ice cream, baked goods, medications, toothpaste, energy drinks, and even some vitamin supplements. Because they are so widely used, many people consume artificial sweeteners every day without realizing just how many products contain them. Unlike regular sugar, which comes from natural sources such as sugarcane or sugar beets and provides calories that the body converts into energy, artificial sweeteners are created to deliver sweetness with minimal or zero calories. They are much sweeter than ordinary table sugar, often hundreds of times sweeter, which means manufacturers only need to use tiny amounts to achieve the desired taste. For example, a very small quantity of an artificial sweetener can provide the same sweetness as several teaspoons of sugar. This makes them attractive not only for consumers trying to reduce calorie intake, but also for food manufacturers, because they are cost-effective and help extend the shelf life of many products. Some of the most commonly used artificial sweeteners include aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, acesulfame potassium, and neotame. Each one has a different chemical structure, sweetness level, and stability under heat. Aspartame is often found in soft drinks and sugar-free desserts, but is not ideal for high-temperature cooking. Sucralose is more heat-stable and is frequently used in baked goods and cooking products. Saccharin has been available for more than a century and remains one of the oldest artificial sweeteners on the market. Acesulfame potassium is commonly blended with other sweeteners to create a more balanced flavor, while neotame is an extremely potent sweetener used in very small amounts. Although they all serve the same purpose of replacing sugar, they are processed differently by the body and continue to be studied for their individual effects on health. Millions of people choose artificial sweeteners because they believe they offer a healthier alternative to sugar. Individuals with diabetes often use them to help manage blood glucose levels, as most artificial sweeteners do not cause the rapid rise in blood sugar that regular sugar does. Others use them as part of weight management efforts, hoping to enjoy sweet foods and beverages while reducing overall calorie intake. People following low-carbohydrate or ketogenic eating plans also frequently rely on sugar-free products made with artificial sweeteners to satisfy cravings without increasing carbohydrate consumption. For many consumers, replacing sugary beverages with diet versions feels like a practical step toward healthier eating habits. The popularity of artificial sweeteners has also grown alongside increasing awareness of the health risks associated with excessive sugar consumption. Research has linked high intakes of added sugar to obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease, and dental cavities. Public health organizations around the world encourage people to reduce added sugars, leading many consumers to seek alternatives that allow them to enjoy sweetness while avoiding these well-known health concerns. As food companies respond to changing consumer preferences, the number of products containing artificial sweeteners continues to increase across supermarkets, restaurants, and convenience stores. Many people assume that because artificial sweeteners contain little or no calories, they automatically make foods healthier. However, nutrition is rarely determined by a single ingredient. A sugar-free snack can still be highly processed, low in fiber, and lacking essential vitamins and minerals. Similarly, replacing sugar with artificial sweeteners does not necessarily improve the overall nutritional quality of a person's diet. Understanding where these sweeteners fit within a balanced eating pattern requires looking beyond calorie counts and considering the broader effects that foods may have on digestion, metabolism, appetite, and long-term health. Inside your digestive system lives an extraordinary community of microorganisms known as the gut microbiome. This ecosystem is made up of trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microscopic organisms that work together to support many essential functions in the body. While many people think of bacteria as something harmful, the majority of the microbes living in a healthy gut are beneficial and play an important role in maintaining overall health. They help break down certain foods that the body cannot digest on its own, produce important vitamins such as vitamin K and several B vitamins, strengthen the immune system, protect against harmful bacteria, and produce substances that support the health of the intestinal lining. Scientists now recognize that the gut microbiome is one of the most influential systems in the human body, affecting digestion, metabolism, immunity, and even communication with the brain. The balance of this microbial community is delicate and constantly changing. Many factors influence the composition of the gut microbiome, including diet, age, genetics, medications, stress, physical activity, sleep quality, and illness. Foods rich in fiber, fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and fermented products, such as yogurt and kefir, help nourish beneficial bacteria and encourage greater microbial diversity. On the other hand, diets high in ultra-processed foods, excessive added sugars, unhealthy fats, and low fiber may reduce the diversity of helpful microbes. Researchers are now investigating whether artificial sweeteners should also be added to the list of dietary factors capable of changing the balance of bacteria living in the digestive tract. Several laboratory and human studies have suggested that certain artificial sweeteners may alter the makeup of the gut microbiome. Rather than simply passing through the digestive system without effect, some sweeteners appear to influence which bacterial species grow more successfully and which become less abundant. In some studies, researchers observed reductions in bacteria that are commonly associated with good digestive health, while other types of bacteria became more dominant. These changes may seem small at first, but even subtle shifts in the microbiome can influence how efficiently the digestive system functions and how the body responds to food. Scientists continue to study these patterns because the exact effects vary depending on the type of sweetener, the amount consumed, and the unique microbiome of each individual. One reason these findings have attracted attention is because the gut microbiome plays a major role in regulating metabolism. Beneficial bacteria help produce short-chain fatty acids, which support the health of the intestinal lining, reduce inflammation, and help regulate energy balance. If the population of these bacteria declines, the production of these important compounds may also decrease. Researchers are exploring whether these microbial changes could influence insulin sensitivity, glucose metabolism, appetite regulation, and the body's ability to process nutrients. Although the evidence is still evolving, several studies suggest that changes in the microbiome may contribute to differences in how individuals respond to artificial sweeteners. Not everyone experiences the same effects after consuming artificial sweeteners. One of the most fascinating discoveries in recent research is that each person's gut microbiome is unique, almost like a fingerprint. Two people can consume the same artificial sweetener in the same amount and have very different biological responses. In some individuals, little or no measurable change may occur, while others experience noticeable alterations in their gut bacteria or glucose metabolism. This growing understanding has led scientists to believe that personalized nutrition may become increasingly important in the future, with dietary recommendations tailored to each person's microbiome rather than relying solely on general guidelines. Because artificial sweeteners are present in so many everyday products, regular consumption can add up without people realizing it. A person may drink diet soda, chew sugar-free gum, eat low-calorie yogurt, use sugar substitutes in coffee, and consume protein bars or flavored drinks containing multiple sweeteners throughout the day. While occasional use may have little measurable impact for many people, frequent and long-term exposure is receiving greater attention from researchers studying the gut microbiome. Current evidence does not prove that artificial sweeteners are harmful for everyone, but it does suggest that they may influence the complex ecosystem living inside the digestive tract in ways that scientists are only beginning to fully understand. For many years, scientists believed that the brain and the digestive system worked almost independently of each other. The brain was thought to control thoughts, emotions, and decision-making, while the gut was simply responsible for digesting food and absorbing nutrients. Modern research has completely changed that understanding. Today, scientists recognize that the gut and the brain are in constant communication through a complex network known as the gut-brain axis. This two-way communication system allows messages to travel back and forth every second, influencing digestion, metabolism, mood, appetite, immune function, and even certain aspects of memory and cognitive performance. Rather than functioning as separate organs, the gut and the brain operate as closely connected partners that continuously influence one another. One of the primary communication pathways between the gut and the brain is the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the human body. Often described as an information highway, the vagus nerve carries signals from the digestive tract directly to the brain and sends instructions back to the digestive organs. When your stomach stretches after a meal, when your intestines detect nutrients, or when inflammation develops in the digestive tract, these messages can travel rapidly through the vagus nerve. Likewise, emotional stress, anxiety, excitement, or fear originating in the brain can influence digestion almost immediately. This explains why many people experience stomach discomfort before a major presentation, lose their appetite during periods of grief, or notice digestive symptoms during stressful situations. The gut microbiome plays a central role in this communication system. The trillions of microorganisms living inside the intestines are not passive passengers. They actively produce chemicals that help regulate communication with the nervous system. Some beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that help maintain the health of the intestinal lining and reduce inflammation. Others influence the production of neurotransmitters and signaling molecules that affect how the brain functions. In fact, a significant portion of the body's serotonin, often called the feel-good chemical, is produced in the digestive system. While serotonin made in the gut does not directly enter the brain, it helps regulate digestion and interacts with the nervous system, highlighting just how closely these two systems are connected. Scientists are now studying how changes in the gut microbiome may influence mood, behavior, and mental performance. Research has found that an imbalance in gut bacteria, sometimes referred to as dysbiosis, may be associated with increased inflammation and altered communication between the gut and brain. Some studies have linked poor gut health with symptoms of anxiety, depression, chronic stress, and reduced cognitive function. Although these conditions are influenced by many different factors and cannot be blamed solely on the gut microbiome, researchers believe that maintaining a diverse and healthy microbial community may support better brain function and emotional well-being as part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Artificial sweeteners have become part of this growing area of research because scientists are investigating whether changes in gut bacteria caused by certain sweeteners could also affect signals traveling to the brain. Some studies suggest that alterations in the microbiome may influence the hormones responsible for hunger and fullness, including glucagon-like peptide 1, GLP-1, peptide YY, PYY, and ghrelin. These hormones help regulate appetite, energy balance, and food intake. If the gut microbiome changes, the production or activity of these hormones may also shift, potentially influencing how hungry a person feels or how satisfied they are after eating. Researchers are also exploring whether certain artificial sweeteners may affect reward pathways in the brain, especially when the brain detects sweetness without receiving the expected calories. This growing understanding highlights why nutrition is about much more than counting calories. Every food and beverage we consume has the potential to influence the complex relationship between the gut and the brain. Eating a diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and fermented foods helps nourish beneficial gut bacteria that support healthy communication along the gut-brain axis. At the same time, reducing excessive intake of highly processed foods and maintaining a balanced lifestyle with regular exercise, quality sleep, and stress management can further strengthen this important connection. As research continues to evolve, scientists are gaining a deeper appreciation for the remarkable partnership between the digestive system and the brain, revealing that caring for one often means supporting the health of the other. One of the biggest reasons people choose artificial sweeteners is to reduce their sugar intake while still enjoying sweet-tasting foods and beverages. At first glance, this seems like a simple and effective strategy. Replacing sugar with a zero-calorie alternative appears to offer the best of both worlds: sweetness without the extra calories. However, scientists have become increasingly interested in a more complicated question. How does the brain respond when it tastes something sweet but does not receive the calories it expects? This area of research has produced fascinating findings, suggesting that artificial sweeteners may influence appetite, food preferences, and sugar cravings differently from natural sugar. While the effects vary from person to person, understanding these possible responses helps explain why some individuals find it easier to control cravings, while others continue to struggle despite choosing sugar-free products. The human brain has evolved over thousands of years to associate sweetness with a source of energy. Naturally sweet foods, such as fruits and honey, provided valuable calories that helped our ancestors survive. Because of this long evolutionary history, tasting something sweet sends signals to the brain that energy is likely on the way. Hormones involved in digestion begin preparing the body to process incoming nutrients, and reward centers within the brain become activated. When real sugar enters the digestive system, these expectations are fulfilled. Artificial sweeteners, however, provide the sensation of sweetness without delivering the same amount of energy. Researchers are exploring whether this mismatch between sweet taste and calorie intake may affect how the brain regulates hunger and satisfaction in some individuals. Several brain imaging studies have shown that artificial sweeteners and natural sugar activate reward pathways differently. While both stimulate taste receptors on the tongue, sugar appears to produce a stronger activation of brain regions associated with pleasure and reward because it delivers calories that the body can use as fuel. Artificial sweeteners create the sweet taste, but may not produce the same level of biological satisfaction. As a result, some researchers believe that certain people may continue seeking additional sweet foods after consuming artificially sweetened products, because the brain's expectation for energy has not been fully met. This theory remains an active area of investigation, and scientists continue to study how these responses differ among individuals with different eating habits and metabolic health. Appetite is regulated by a complex interaction of hormones, nerves, and signals traveling between the digestive system and the brain. Hormones such as ghrelin stimulate hunger, while others, including glucagon-like peptide 1, GLP-1, peptide YY, PYY, and leptin, help promote feelings of fullness. Researchers are investigating whether artificial sweeteners influence these hormones directly or indirectly through changes in the gut microbiome. Some studies suggest little measurable effect, while others have observed subtle changes in appetite regulation following the consumption of certain sweeteners. These inconsistent findings highlight that there is no single response that applies to everyone. Factors such as age, genetics, overall diet, physical activity, and the composition of the gut microbiome may all contribute to how a person's body reacts. Behavioral habits also play an important role. Choosing sugar-free products does not automatically reduce cravings if the overall diet remains centered around highly sweet foods. Someone who regularly drinks diet beverages, eats sugar-free desserts, and snacks on artificially sweetened treats may continue reinforcing a strong preference for intense sweetness. Over time, naturally sweet foods such as fresh fruit may seem less satisfying compared to processed products with concentrated flavors. Nutrition experts often encourage gradually reducing the overall intensity of sweetness in the diet, rather than simply replacing sugar with artificial alternatives. This approach may help retrain the taste buds to appreciate the natural sweetness found in whole foods, while supporting healthier long-term eating habits. For people trying to manage their weight or blood sugar, artificial sweeteners can still be a useful tool when used thoughtfully. Replacing sugar-sweetened beverages with sugar-free versions may reduce calorie intake and help lower added sugar consumption. However, they work best as part of a balanced eating pattern that includes fiber-rich vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, and regular physical activity. Paying attention to hunger cues, choosing minimally processed foods whenever possible, and recognizing that cravings are influenced by many factors, including stress, sleep quality, emotions, and daily habits, can provide a more complete and sustainable approach to supporting appetite control and overall health. Artificial sweeteners are considered safe for most healthy adults when consumed within the acceptable daily intake levels established by food safety authorities. These limits are set after extensive scientific evaluation and include a considerable safety margin. However, safe does not necessarily mean that every person will respond in exactly the same way. Age, medical conditions, medications, dietary habits, and individual differences in the gut microbiome can all influence how someone reacts to artificial sweeteners. For this reason, certain groups of people may benefit from paying closer attention to how much they consume and discussing their dietary choices with a qualified healthcare professional when appropriate. People living with diabetes are among the most common users of artificial sweeteners because they offer sweetness without causing the same immediate rise in blood glucose as regular sugar. Replacing sugary drinks and desserts with sugar-free alternatives can help reduce added sugar intake and make blood sugar management easier for many individuals. However, artificial sweeteners should not be viewed as a complete solution for diabetes management. Maintaining stable blood glucose depends on many factors, including overall diet quality, physical activity, medication adherence, sleep, stress management, and regular medical care. Someone who consumes large amounts of highly processed, sugar-free foods may still have a diet that is low in fiber and important nutrients. Focusing on whole foods while using artificial sweeteners in moderation is generally a more balanced approach. Individuals trying to lose weight should also use artificial sweeteners thoughtfully. Although replacing sugary beverages with diet alternatives may reduce calorie intake, long-term weight management depends on maintaining healthy eating habits rather than relying on one ingredient. Some people find that sugar-free products help them reduce cravings and stick to their nutrition goals. Others may notice that they continue craving sweet foods throughout the day or begin consuming larger portions because they believe sugar-free automatically means healthy. This can unintentionally increase total calorie intake. Paying attention to portion sizes, choosing nutrient-dense meals, and developing healthier relationships with food are all important parts of sustainable weight management. Children deserve special consideration because their eating habits and taste preferences are still developing. Frequent exposure to intensely sweet foods and beverages, whether sweetened with sugar or artificial sweeteners, may encourage a stronger preference for very sweet flavors as they grow older. While research is still ongoing, many pediatric nutrition experts recommend emphasizing naturally nutritious foods, including fruits, vegetables, whole grains, dairy products, legumes, and lean proteins, rather than relying heavily on artificially sweetened snacks or drinks. Encouraging children to enjoy the natural flavors of whole foods can help establish healthier dietary habits that may continue into adulthood. Pregnant and breastfeeding women should also be mindful of their intake. Several artificial sweeteners have been evaluated and are considered acceptable during pregnancy when consumed within recommended limits. However, not every sweetener has the same safety profile, and individual health circumstances may influence dietary recommendations. Women with high-risk pregnancies, gestational diabetes, or other medical conditions should discuss their nutritional choices with their healthcare provider. Personalized guidance is especially important during pregnancy because nutritional needs change throughout each stage, and healthcare professionals can recommend the most appropriate dietary strategies based on individual medical history. People with digestive disorders or sensitive gastrointestinal systems may also notice differences in how they respond to artificial sweeteners. Individuals living with conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, or other chronic digestive issues often find that certain foods or food additives trigger symptoms differently from person to person. Some artificial sweeteners, particularly when consumed in large amounts or combined with sugar alcohols, may contribute to bloating, gas, abdominal discomfort, or changes in bowel habits in susceptible individuals. Keeping a food diary and monitoring symptoms can help identify personal triggers while allowing healthcare providers or registered dietitians to offer individualized recommendations that support both digestive comfort and overall nutritional health. Craving something sweet is completely normal and is part of human biology. Sweet flavors have always been associated with energy-rich foods, and our brains naturally respond positively to them. The goal is not to eliminate sweetness from your life, but to choose sources of sweetness that also provide valuable nutrients and support long-term health. Instead of depending heavily on artificial sweeteners or large amounts of added sugar, many nutrition experts recommend building eating habits around whole, minimally processed foods. These foods not only satisfy sweet cravings, but also nourish the gut microbiome, provide essential vitamins and minerals, and contribute to better overall health. Making gradual changes rather than drastic restrictions often leads to more sustainable habits and makes it easier to maintain a balanced relationship with food. Fresh fruit is one of the healthiest ways to enjoy natural sweetness. Fruits such as berries, apples, pears, oranges, peaches, kiwi, grapes, and bananas contain naturally occurring sugars, but they also provide dietary fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds that support the body's many systems. The fiber found in fruit slows the absorption of natural sugars, helping reduce rapid spikes in blood glucose compared to foods made with refined sugar. Fiber also serves as food for beneficial gut bacteria, encouraging a healthier and more diverse microbiome. Regularly including a variety of colorful fruits in your diet supports digestion, immune health, and overall well-being while satisfying the desire for something sweet in a nutritious way. Another helpful strategy is to gradually retrain your taste buds. People who consume highly sweetened foods every day often become accustomed to intense levels of sweetness, making naturally sweet foods seem less satisfying at first. Fortunately, taste preferences are not fixed. Research suggests that reducing the amount of sweetness in your diet over time can help your palate adjust. As this happens, foods like fresh berries, ripe peaches, plain yogurt with fruit, or oatmeal topped with cinnamon and sliced apples begin to taste sweeter than they once did. This gradual adaptation allows many people to enjoy natural flavors without feeling deprived, and may reduce dependence on both added sugars and artificial sweeteners. Choosing foods that combine natural sweetness with protein, healthy fats, or fiber can also improve satisfaction and help control hunger. For example, pairing apple slices with peanut butter, enjoying plain Greek yogurt with fresh berries, or adding chopped fruit and nuts to oatmeal creates balanced snacks that provide lasting energy. Protein and healthy fats slow digestion, helping maintain steadier blood sugar levels while increasing feelings of fullness. These combinations also reduce the likelihood of experiencing rapid hunger shortly after eating, making it easier to avoid frequent snacking on processed sweets throughout the day. Herbs and spices offer another excellent way to enhance flavor without relying on added sweeteners. Cinnamon, vanilla extract, nutmeg, cardamom, and cocoa powder can naturally increase the perception of sweetness in many foods. Adding cinnamon to oatmeal, vanilla to plain yogurt, or unsweetened cocoa to smoothies creates rich flavors that satisfy the senses without requiring large amounts of sugar. These simple additions encourage people to appreciate the natural taste of whole foods, while creating enjoyable meals and snacks that support healthy eating habits. Experimenting with different flavor combinations can make nutritious foods more appealing without increasing sweetness excessively. Developing healthier habits also involves paying attention to why cravings occur in the first place. Sweet cravings are not always driven by hunger. Fatigue, stress, dehydration, boredom, poor sleep, and emotional eating can all increase the desire for sugary foods. Drinking enough water, eating balanced meals at regular intervals, getting adequate sleep, staying physically active, and managing stress through relaxation techniques or enjoyable activities can all help reduce unnecessary cravings. When artificial sweeteners are used, they are best viewed as an occasional tool rather than the foundation of a healthy diet. Building meals around vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, and fermented foods provides the nutrients that both the body and the gut microbiome need to thrive, while naturally supporting healthier food choices over time.